Hello and welcome back to another podcast. I'm joined as ever by Henry. Henry, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
Yeah, not bad. Bit disappointed, I can't lie, but
I think everyone is after last night. Can't really be happy with what happened. So yeah, let's talk about the game that we had to win and we didn't. What did you think about? I mean, we all knew that we were going to score. I think everyone knew that United were going to score at least one goal. What did you think of the defending?
it's questionable again. I think your Harry Maguire canal boat comment is looking more and more relevant by the day.
Yeah,
What was you?
it's worrying. It's worrying. Isn't it? Something doesn't sit right with me about the defending. It's for the first goal. I think it was Pogba that lost the ball on the edge of the box, which was again, you know, you've got to think he probably should have kept hold of it. But again, those mistakes happen, but you've got to be ready to kind of defend when they do happen. And we're out of position, and yeah, everything about that goal was wrong. But I was never fearful of conceding. I knew we'd concede. It's so predictable. We almost conceded against Villa as well. And if you're conceding against Villa, you know you're in a bit of trouble in the first place. But yeah, questionable defending. You're right. It's worrying now because we're so focused on amending the attack in our side. I think we've got to focus on bigger issues, and I know we've made signings at the back with Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, but Maguire's good with his feet, kind of knocking the ball around and stuff. But when it comes to being on the half turn, he can't handle it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think Lindelof outplayed him yesterday. I think Lindelof had one of his best games in a long time.
Yeah, he's another one that I don't think will be a fixture in the side. But yeah, he's been outperforming Maguire for the last 2 or 3 games.
Yeah,
So something about that says to me, I know we spent a lot of money on him, but he's just not quick enough on the half turn, and kind of I don't know. It makes me nervous. That defense I said about the Chelsea defense. We're lucky in the sense we got we're kind of up against two other sides competing for the top 4 where we know they'll drop points.
yeah.
Chelsea will drop points again. I don't really have any questions about that. Whether that be tonight, I don't think so. Although Norwich are kind of free spirited and have nothing to play for really, so they might as well just go and try and perform and see what they can do. But I still think they'll drop points. They've got Liverpool coming up, haven't they?
Yeah,
I think.
Liverpool at Anfield, so can't see
I,
them coming out of that.
yeah, I don't know. Liverpool were one of those sides where they've won the title. I know they want to go for record points, whatever, but they've slacked off since they won the league. You can see the attitude change. They seem like they're drunk when they're playing. The first couple of games, anyway. I was wondering whether they'd had a heavy night the night before, but knowing Jurgen Klopp, they probably had. So yeah, they could do us a favour. Any drop points for us now is a bonus, but we now have to beat Leicester. I
Absolutely.
think it will come down to that, which is a shame because if we play anything like we did yesterday, we will not win that game.
It's a frustrating one, isn't it? 'Cause I think from the 20th minute to about the hour mark when they took Pogba off, we were in control. They didn't really look like scoring. We could have easily
Mm.
had 4. And I think that change, Pogba obviously started horrendously, gave the ball away a couple of times, but 20 minutes in and he was his normal self again. As soon as he came off, it all went downhill.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll agree with that. It's just control in the game. That's what it was. And then the final 15 minutes, we looked like we were going to concede, and especially the first, in extra time, in the added time. Sorry, um, you could see there were nerves kicking in, kind of stray challenges, and it was a bit kind of on edge. usually what we should have done in the first like 15 minutes of the second half is just fully gone for the win. No, just forget about the defending. We're not very good at defending. Forget about that and just go and try and get 3 or 4 because 2 wasn't enough. They were going to score a second goal at some point, and they've got threatening strikers. I thought it would be Ings that would get it, to be honest, but I mean, say Lindelof was good again. Probably should have been goal side for the
Yeah.
for the second goal, but again, it's just a lapse of concentration, and it was it 96th minute in the end.
Yeah, something like that.
Woeful and worrying as well that we couldn't keep hold of the ball and do what City and Liverpool do, which is nullify games.
Yeah.
In the last 10 minutes, you keep the ball, you make them work, then they start to give up hope a little bit. We're just giving the ball back every 30 seconds. You can't do that. And taking Fernandes and Pogba off, you're never going to get a last-minute winner, even if you have like 5 minutes to go with Fred and McTominay, your creative midfielders. You've got a big problem then. So, yeah, we're very United fans. I know Arsenal fans go through a lot of trouble, and fair enough. But as a United fan, it is the hope that kills you because you think, oh yeah, we have a real chance to capitalise on and get into third position and be in the ascendancy. I know it's still in our own control. Simple, just beat Leicester, win all 3 games. That's what it is now. But it would have been a lot easier. We could have gone there and got a draw and come out of it okay. So it's now a must win unless they drop points. They've got Sheffield United and Spurs to play, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, if they play anything like this against Bournemouth, that could be at least 3 drop points. So, yeah, we can hope, but I'm not putting out for it. So we've got to win all 3 games. Simple as that. Sadly.
Yeah, I think one thing I'd say about the Southampton game is that it's worrying in the sense that it shows how little squad depth we have. And
Yeah, there's a minimal amount of players that can impact the game. I wouldn't trust Igalo to do much.
no,
James is good when he can stretch defenders. Although, I mean, he came on and was playing as like a right wing back yesterday, so he's okay when he can kind of push people, but he couldn't do that yesterday. And yeah, Fred and McTominay, they're 2 defensive midfielders. Fred was playing attacking midfield. He's not a creative player. He's just not. So, yeah, worrying.
yeah, the thing that worries me most is we've got to keep playing this side. It's the game's just made it obvious. But
Yeah.
our next 3 games, we've got 3 days rest in between each one. And realistically, you can't keep the same side out every single game because injuries.
No, you can't. And yeah, you're right with completely right with that. Especially with Fernandes and Pogba. I'd say Fernandes is worse off at the moment because he's playing 90 minutes consistently, which is difficult to do, especially in the Premier League, difficult to do. Yeah, I mean, Palace next, isn't it, away?
Yeah,
They're no mugs. So that'll be a rough game. And then Chelsea. I mean, to be honest, I'm more confident about the Chelsea game than I am about the Palace game.
I sort of know what you mean there. Yeah,
That Lampard interview after the Sheffield United game, that was for Chelsea fans, that was harrowing to watch. It was like it was very cryptic, you know.
what did he say?
Well, he made a couple of comments about on the pitch. All he could hear was Sheffield United players, and then he made a comment about the squad. I can't remember exactly what he said, but
Oh, did he say it's hard to motivate them or something like that?
yeah, and he said something about he's not sure whether all these players are good enough, basically, in a cryptic way. So he knows now that squad, that especially that defence, is just not good enough. It's just not. Um, they're not able to kind of hit the levels that top sides should. So yeah,
I suppose that then offers a question with the very little amount of rest we're going to be able to get. Does it come down to whether you prioritise top four or winning the FA Cup? So I think if you're not bothered about winning the FA Cup, you just rest players in the semi-final.
oh god, it's so difficult to say what's going to happen. Solskjaer has a history with the FA Cup when he was playing, and he respects the competition massively. So I don't think he'll go to throw that game away. I really don't. I can't see it happening. I think he'll put a strong side out. Maybe not the best 11, but he'll put a really strong side out. Because that game against Norwich was my days. So it was painful to watch at times. We were disjointed, and we had Lingard and Pereira as our attacking players, attacking midfielders. And when you resort to those two as your creative players, especially with the form they're in now, you're in a bit of trouble. You've got a bit of a problem. So yeah, I don't know what he'll do. But squad depth it has to be addressed. You take two players off, and we looked toothless in the game. So there's got to be some more quality brought in the summer for sure. If that game against Southampton hasn't emphasised that, I don't know what will.
Well, one more thing to add about squad depth as well is obviously against Southampton, both our left backs got injured, which means it's looking likely that we're going to have to bring Dalot in at left back against Crystal Palace. How worrying is that for you?
Dalot or Ethan Laird, by the looks of it. Whether he'll give him a debut again in the Premier League game, I doubt. But it's a possibility. He doesn't trust Diogo Dalot. There's something defensively. I think that's the problem. He doesn't trust him to kind of keep his cool defensively. Whereas going forward, he's a good player. He could play as a right winger if we needed it. Although it's not first choice, but if we needed it, he could. But yeah, I mean, as I said, you take two or three players out of that first team, and we're looking a bit light and a bit short on players, which that's not good. That's really not good. What's your kind of take on it?
Well, bringing Dalot into the squad, the only worrying thing is which side Palace will play Zaha on. So if they put Zaha on Dalot, it could be a massacre.
Yeah.
So I think if you bring Dalot into the team, you've got to be willing to let Wan-Bissaka drift over to the left and just follow Zaha around. That sort of thing. They constantly have them swapping if they need to. But
Yeah, I mean, the worrying thing for me as well is that they're a very physical side, and I know Maguire can handle his battles and stuff, but we're very prone to being bullied at the back by bigger players. We always have been. So apart from when it was the days of Ferdinand and Vidic, where Vidic would headbutt or elbow someone, or stand on their feet, or stamp on whatever part of the body you get his foot on. So yeah, I worry about the physical side of things as well. Benteke, I know to be fair, he ripped that Chelsea defence apart. And I know it's not a challenge though, is it? Yeah. It's not really a difficult thing to do, especially in the situation they're in. But I don't know how many games it's been since he last scored at home, but he wasn't playing well before that as well. So yeah, again, I'm more nervous about that game. I think United could easily, if we're on a game, put 5 past Chelsea.
yeah, I think looking at how they play against Sheffield United, if they don't up it and we play how we can, I think there's a possibility that we could recreate the 4-0 at the start of the season.
Mm.
But I
Could
also
rip.
I also think that we've been poor the last two games of the opening 20 minutes. And I think against a team like Chelsea, you're going to get punished. So I think if they go 2 up inside 20 minutes, that's it, game over.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I'll agree with that. And yeah, you're right with the 20-minute thing. I don't know what's going on with that. It's like we go through the motions in the first 20 minutes rather than going and attacking the other side. We kind of go through a phase of sloppy passes and lack of communication, and it all seems a bit disjointed in the first 20 minutes. And then as soon as we kind of build a bit ahead of steam, and like 25 minutes in, we just suddenly switch on and turn the burners on and start playing like a real side. So I don't know what's going on with that. Whether they just need a bit of well, I don't know, give them a Red Bull before the game.
Do you think it could be sort of because of the schedule and how tight it is, they're sort of preserving themselves so they don't burn out later in the match and get punished? Could that be it, do you reckon?
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. But I'd certainly rather go 2 or 3-0 up in the first 20 minutes than go 1-0 down and have to get, because you're expending more energy having to get the lead back because teams will just defend. So if you're gonna go out to win a game, you should go out to win it in the first like 15, 20 minutes and try and get the early goal to settle the nerves. Yeah, so but big games coming up. Big games. The next two are, every game is a cup final now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the players have got to play like it and stop being a bit. I mean, the last 2-3 games we've been slacking a little bit. I know we were brilliant against Brighton and we're okay against Bournemouth, but we shouldn't have conceded 2 goals. That was poor. So and Villa were poor again. So there needs to be a kind of change. And we can talk about all the unbeaten streak. We've gone from 5th to 5th in that unbeaten streak. So if you don't get anywhere, you know, I know we've gained points and stuff, but if you don't get anywhere with it, then what's the point in doing it in the first place?
Yeah, yeah, probably right about that. So, yeah, moving on to getting into the top 4 then. Do you still, after yesterday, think it's a realistic possibility?
Uh, After watching Leicester and Chelsea, anything's realistic for United.
Yeah.
Those two sides. I've said to you that Chelsea defence. There's two defences in the league that make me nervous, and they are not from the bottom 3. The 2 defences are Arsenal and Chelsea. They make me nervous. They make me feel like just a weird kind of inner feeling. You watch the way that Arsenal defended against Spurs, and you know, although they went on like a 3-game winning streak, that was soon going to come to an end if you got David Luiz playing at the back. And Chelsea, again, Rudiger. I know Chelsea fans were saying he was going to be a top class, world class player, whatever. That kind of miss it clearance against Sheffield United was woeful. He's not a very good player. He made a mistake against West Ham. He made a mistake against Sheffield United. I'm sure he'll make more mistakes if they play that back line against United. As I said, we could easily either replicate the 4-0, as you said, or we could put more past them.
Yeah.
I think that's such a disjointed defence, and Kepa he's good at shot stopping, but I think it stops there really. So yeah, back us in the race for top 4, especially after Leicester shipped 4 as well, and Soyuncu is out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that actually when you finish, because the Leicester game I'm more confident on now, because it's looking like Maddison won't be available, Chilwell won't be available, and Pereira and Soyuncu are both out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 4 big players for them, all missing. It's just almost set up too nicely. It's almost like we have to bottle it.
That potential of Wes Morgan lining up against if he's on the right, which he probably will be, lining up against Rashford, and Martial, as Louis van Gaal said, that makes me horny. But the thought of that makes me think, right, yeah. I mean, if someone's like 36 pace on FIFA, and they do a disservice to a lot of people, but if someone's that low pace on FIFA, then I mean, he hasn't played in a few games as well, so he will be slow. I know he's a big guy and strong and stuff, but it could be another Rashford on Demichelis where he just turned him inside out. So hopefully that's the case, unless they decide otherwise. But you know, I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case with Morgan playing in the back line, and he is slow. So isolate him, pick him off. So yeah, that again, the thought of having all those players out for Leicester, that it could change. Obviously, could chop and change. Maddison could be back in, but if Soyuncu's, well, he's not going to play because it was a stupid thing to do. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. I don't know whether he tried to get the ball or not, whether he tried to kick the ball, but I mean, he's just drop kicked a player after when the ball's gone. So yeah, he's apologised for it, but that won't change the fact that he won't be playing in the game. So yeah, that'll
And
be interesting.
then looking sort of back a bit, we said we're worried about the Palace game, but I think in a weird way, I'm more worried about the West Ham game because they're obviously just above relegation zone. They'll be fighting for their lives.
I
Like,
think they're safe though.
yeah, well, I think depends how fixtures go in the next couple of days. They could already be safe, but we've seen against Chelsea that on the day they're a good team.
Yeah, they're a good team, but again, I know our defense isn't as bad as Chelsea's. I know that, and you can see that from the way that they play. And against West Ham, that Chelsea defense just crumbled. I know we're not very good at defending set pieces either. That seems to be a kind of flaw of ours. So yeah, I'd understandably be a little bit worried, but also I'd be looking at their back line and thinking, we'll score. I'm pretty certain of that. I think in every game I back us to score because even when we're not playing well, we seem to pull a goal out of somewhere, whether it's Greenwood or whoever. So yeah,
Yeah, I think with the players that we've got on the field, I think even against Liverpool, you'd back us to score one.
yeah. No, I'd say that's about right. And the emergence of Greenwood has been fantastic to watch, and it's left me speechless at times with some of the stuff that he can do. Left foot, right foot. I mean, he could score a goal with his knee from 35 yards out. It wouldn't even surprise me. So yeah, he's got unbelievable talent, and the one thing that you've got to do is isolate him one-on-one against anyone, absolutely anyone, and you back him. So yeah, that emergence has kind of helped our front three massively as well with the way that he's playing, and Martial, and now Rashford scoring as well. So can't complain about that side of things.
Yeah, I think it was really nice to see Rashford score from open play as well because he's obviously not had the best return from injury. He scored a penalty, but I thought he took his goal really well.
Yeah, confidence. That's all it is. It's a
Yeah,
bit of confidence, and now that he's got that back, maybe he'll start playing and stop trying to be the Ronaldo type. That really annoys me about him at times. You see the way that he kind of runs and takes shots and stuff. He's trying to be Ronaldo, and he's just not. So
now I think just to segue into the next section, another reason why it's not been a great week for United fans is obviously the news about City's ban being overturned.
yes, here comes the money. Literally, I don't know how they've got away with that. I'm baffled. Um, so the evidence that they supplied must have been in a briefcase with a few checks or 10 briefcases with 10 million each in. So the it was the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So I was surprised at that as well, because they're usually quite reliable, but they've obviously been doing something with UEFA behind the scenes. They've reduced the fine, so that suggests to me you don't get fined if you're innocent, do you?
No, they admitted they were in the wrong. They admitted they'd broke rules.
Yeah, but they've got away with it even with a reduced fine.
Yeah,
So there's I said before that I thought they'd get away with it, um, and it shows that there's still corruption. That can be the only solution. And all the managers, they're not saying it directly, but they're indirectly saying it. You saw Mourinho's interview earlier, where he said, it's disgraceful that they've got away with it. It is a sad day for football. It was yesterday when we found out that they'd had the ban overturned, because it shows you can get away with anything. So, if we want to go and spend 500 million in the summer and break FFP rules, do it. Go break the rules and then just pay a down payment of 30 million to someone else. Get
yeah,
that back in sales within a few months. So yeah, you can just cheat now and get away with it. So yeah, it goes back to the old saying, roses are red, violets are blue. Without Sheikh Mansour, they'd be in League Two.
yeah.
Um,
That's probably about right. I think this is the end of financial fair play now. I think
yeah, I think so.
the fact that I read something, the fine that City have to pay, their owner makes that every 1.5 hours.
Yeah, exactly. He can wipe his ass with that money. Literally, he could do that if he wanted to. That's what annoys me about it, is that it's nothing. And then he's probably said to the UEFA officials or whatever, here's 5 million each. Go buy yourself a new Lamborghini or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, problem solved. So
I think we're about to see the floodgates open in Europe now. I think teams like Madrid and PSG, who recently, well, I suppose you could take Hazard out of that. They've both had fairly quiet windows. PSG have been pretty quiet since they signed Neymar and Mbappe.
yeah.
I think now the floodgates are open. They're free to spend whatever they want.
Well, after COVID, I think after the kind of after the world settled down with all the finances and stuff, loads of clubs have lost loads of money. So once that's settled down I'd say in like probably next year, next summer, then if games have got fans in the stadium next summer or the summer after, then yeah, I think we'll see a lot of money being spent, a fortune being spent on players and whatever. FFP it's the problem with it is protection for the top sides.
Yeah,
It's a blanket, because it suggests that what you make as a club has to correlate with the amount you spend. So teams that don't make as much from merchandise, say mid-table to lower Premier League sides, they're not going to really break the top kind of four. Although Leicester have kind of bucked the trend a little bit, it's going to be more of a struggle to break the top sides apart, and it tends to be in the top 6 or 7. Always United, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea. It seems to be a common theme, really. So yeah, I mean, I can't see it ending well. Teams are just gonna spend what they want to spend. But if if FFP is scrapped, then it will bring lower clubs into it, because owners will just take over smaller clubs and spend loads of money. Simple as that. Make
yeah.
it more competitive, I guess.
I suppose one positive thing you can look at just all the punishment being overturned is that City get to keep their titles, which means Steven Gerrard still hasn't won a Premier League.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. They would have kept their titles anyway, I think, but I think they've just got a ban and a Champions League ban. I mean, De Bruyne said he would have considered his future, if they'd have got a Champions League ban. So, um, I mean, they'd have been saying, if you want £1 billion, we'll pay you £1 billion. If you want so and so, they need their key players
Yeah.
still. So there's got to be some sort of. We'll find out in 10 years that there's been some sort of bribery going on there, and yeah, not surprising, but disappointing and sad, really, that it's come down to that again. But there you go. It is what it is.
Bit of a somber way to end the podcast, but I think that's all we've got noted down to talk about.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll hopefully be in better spirits next week after FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, I hope so. Don't want to go back to drawing and losing. That's not
But
good.
just to sort of set it up, we'll look back on this in a week. What are your predictions for the 2 games going forward?
I said the Palace one will be a bit of a struggle. I think we'll concede. I think we'll concede in both games. But I think we're good at scoring, so we might just scrape through by outscoring the team. And the Chelsea game, I'm more confident about because if they play that same defence, that could be a fun watch. We'll see there. What do you think?
What scores are you going with then?
As I've said before, I couldn't predict the score because it could go either way. So I think we'll win both. But I really couldn't say. What do you think?
I'd agree with you. I'm confident we'll win both. Not overly confident. I'm still nervous, but I think we've got what it takes. I think Palace will concede, but I think we'll win 3-1. That'll be my prediction. And then
Yeah,
Chelsea, just because of the size of the game, you at Wembley and everything, I think it'll be tight. So I'd probably go 2-1 Chelsea. Well, 2-1 to us against Chelsea.
I was going to say 2-1 Chelsea. That's not a good prediction.
Possibly even like after extra time, winning it. But
Yeah, last minute stuff.
as long as we don't get a repeat of the final a couple of years ago, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean they were so reliant on Hazard in that game though.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so that's draws us to a close then.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and again, give us some feedback if you can, and put your predictions below in the comments section, and we'll see which ones come true.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anyone can actually get it right.
Right.
Yeah, well, as Emery said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.